Awesome. Looks like it's about to start streaming on all platforms. Yay! Danse everyone! Oki, bonjour, hello. I hope you're all having a wonderful week this week. It is Métis week, and I hope everyone is trying out and learning a little bit about the Métis culture, learning about a little bit about our history, perhaps even going to take a class or two. There's a lot of things happening this week, a lot of walks happening this week. I think it's really important to learn about the history and to learn about how we connect to the land in a different way, how the Métis really represent that movement and that connection between Indigenous and non-Indigenous people. They were the first, after all, the original Canadian, a lot of people would say, because they were that mixture of Indigenous and the settlers coming together to create a new being. And actually that's what the sash represents as well. The sash is woven one way and then another, and together it makes it stronger. A single strand is actually quite breakable, so you pull it and it'll break. But a whole sash, you can actually literally winch somebody out of a ditch with it. I know, because I have a trailer hitch, and I used my sash because I didn't have any chains to pull someone out of a ditch, which was pretty crazy awesome, but incredibly strong, and it teaches us that we're stronger together. And I'm just really thankful to be where we are. This Saturday and Sunday, I will be doing some Métis finger weaving. So if anybody wants to learn a little bit more about Métis culture, a little bit more about Métis finger weaving, perhaps get in touch with their own roots, yeah, I will be doing that at Arts Commons here in Calgary, which is going to be pretty awesome. I really do love it. I'm actually going to be doing it this week at a school as well, so I'm really excited to be sharing that knowledge and that way to create things together. I think when we use our hands, we learn a lot more about who we are, but also we learn a lot about each other as we're going through those movements and learning things in a good way. And so I just wanted to welcome everyone before I get started today to the land upon which we stand, because if you don't know where you are, you don't know where you're going. This is the traditional territory. Oh, sorry, I've been working with dirt all day, so talk about that later. This is the traditional territory of the Treaty 7 people. The Blackfoot, the Niitsitapi, Siksika, Kainai, and Pagani. The Sorsidane, Tsutsuna, and the Stoney Nakoda of Morley, which includes Chiniki, Bearspaw, and Wesley First Nations. We're also walking in the footsteps of the Métis Region 3, which is why I proudly wear my Métis sash. In fact, if you're looking for any activities or a list of calendar events, definitely check out the Métis Nation of Alberta or different Métis locals in your area who might have some things going on. This week especially. Even Mayor Jody Gondek declared, I think it's tomorrow, the official Louis Riel Day. I'd have to look it up. I can't remember what day, and I can't see a calendar at the moment. But yeah, it's pretty great that we're starting to get recognized. Even more so, and then I think it's really important to be able to honor and support that connection of all Indigenous communities. And so to welcome everyone into the circle today, I wanted to share with you the Cree Welcome Song. Traditionally, when we sing songs, we sing in rounds of 4, down to the 4 directions of the medicine wheel, but this song is a little bit different. We sing it in rounds of 3 to keep the circle open and welcoming so everyone completes the circle today. Because in a circle, we're all connected. There's no beginning, there's no end. No one is greater or less than anyone else in the circle, just like in the Hoop of Life. So it teaches us to honor each other for those differences. Because if we were exactly the same, the world would be super boring and nothing would ever get done. So we need those differences to be able to thrive. It teaches us to come into the circle without judgment and not to compare ourselves to someone else because we're totally different. So it doesn't make any sense to compare yourself to someone else. Just really own who you are and be proud of that. Oh, who I am apparently is tired. But the song that I want to share is the Cree Welcome Song. Traditionally, when we sing songs, we sing in rounds of 4. And this one we sing in rounds of 3. I honor the Nutahoe family of Sturgeon Lake Cree Nation for sharing this song and for really keeping this song and the story behind it alive. And I'm always filled with so much joy when I share it. And it's such a gift. It's led me on my journey, and I'm so thankful and humbled for that. Miasin, which is the Cree welcome song. It doesn't just mean welcome. It also means beautiful. Oh, oh my goodness, and I'll try not to yawn the whole time. Ooh. Me. Ooh, it's been a long day. Miyasen, miyasen, hasemina, hasemina, epetakote, niwagomagan, hota, homa, kitaskino, miyasen, miyasen, hasemina, hasemina, epetakote, niwagomagan, hota, homa, kitaskino, miyasen, miyasen, hasemina, hasemina, epetakote, niwagomagan, hota, homa, kitaskino. Hi, and welcome to the circle, everybody. Oh my goodness. And it's been a very long day. I've been teaching at a school all day, and I didn't even leave the school until 5 because I was cleaning up all of the tools that we were using today. My hands are still covered in dirt, and I have dirt under my nails. We were making seed bombs and story seed bombs. So one day we made three sister seed bombs, and we talked about the stories behind the three sisters. And then the next we made story seed bombs of the chickadee and the owl story that I share, which is the story of sunflower and moonflower. But we also add other flowers in, specifically chives, because they help both of those grow really, really well. And to be able to share that story was really, really lovely. And so, oh my goodness, but it's been a very, very long day. I keep yawning and I can't stop. And so I think I'm going to just tell a story so that I can keep myself awake. But this is a story I haven't shared in a while. This is the chickadee and the owl story. So a long time ago, there was a couple, a husband and wife, and they had three beautiful children. They had their two boys who were always, investigating and checking things out and running around and climbing trees and skipping stones and being crazy. They were just so energetic and so playful and so fun. And they had these big, bright, curious eyes, and they was always looking at everything. They always had grins on their faces when they would talk back and forth to each other, because not only were they brothers, but they were best friends. They would, never interrupt each other, but they were always talking back and forth to each other so quickly sometimes. It was amazing to listen to them and to see the way that they interacted, almost knowing what each other were going to say or think. It was incredible. But also, their hair was always tied back in beautiful black caps that just lined their heads. And so they were unmistakable no matter where they went. Now, their daughter, she had beautiful golden eyes and beautiful freckles everywhere. And she was always really excited about investigating the world. She was so curious, and the way she got low and the way she looked around at everything around her, she just was so observant, but she was also so quiet. Her favorite game with her brothers was hide and seek. Because she was so silent, they sometimes wouldn't even hear her go to hide, and they might even be behind her, and they wouldn't even know. And she had the best places to hide. But after years and years and years of going to the same place to hunt, they usually found her the same places that she used to like to hide all the time. And she also loved flowers. No matter where she went, she loved to smell all of the flowers, loved to see the flowers, loved to touch the flowers, loved to just be connected to the flowers. And so for many days and many nights, the children were always looking forward to the hunting trip that they took every year with their parents. And so this year was no different. And their parents got them all packed up and ready to go for their their hunting trip. And so as they walked, or as they all loaded themselves on the wagons and they went to their favorite spot, the children knew that this was the year that they got to wander further and further and further, and even by themselves, which was pretty wonderful. And so they said goodbye to their parents, who after lunch decided to go hunting. And as the parents went down down the path that they usually take, there was a bear at the crossroads. And he said, "Hi." So at the time, the bears actually talked to us, and we actually could hear what they were saying. He said, "There's an abundance of animals this year. There are so many that you might lose track of what you're taking. So just be sure not to take more than what you need, because if you take more than what you need from Mother Earth, she'll take something from you." And they, of course, knew this. And they had never taken more than anything they ever needed year after year. And so they said, of course, we know the rules. We know the natural laws. And so we will abide by those. Thank you so much for the warning, Bear. And so the mother and father continued on their path. But then they got distracted and they lost sight of each other. The father ended up in the middle of a beautiful field, a very open prairie. An incredible meadow. And then the mother ended up down in the valley, and the valley just opened up in front of her. And when she walked down, she was amazed at the amount of incredible animals that there were. You know, there was, of course, moose, because moose love hanging out in the valley. There was incredible amount, sorry, moose, moose. There was incredible amount of deer. There was some elk, and there was even buffalo, which in this particular area was crazy. Normally there wasn't buffalo, but there was tons. And she said, there is no way that my husband is going to find this many animals wherever he is. And so I should just hunt everything that we need for the year. And so she did. And her husband, on the very same journey, in this beautiful meadow, looked around and he was amazed at how many animals there were. There were tons of deer, there were tons of elk, there was a whole bunch of buffalo, but there was even moose. Usually there wasn't moose, which was absolutely amazing. And so he said, there's no way my wife is going to find this many animals wherever she is. I might as well just hunt everything that I need for the year for our family. And so he did. He even got a couple rabbits, wapoos. And so as he and his wife brought all of their catches home, all of their game home, all of their hunts home, they realized their mistake when they arrived. They had gotten twice as much as they needed for their family. So they knew they couldn't let anything go to waste. And so they made a plan. There was only enough room in the wagon for one load at a time. And because the loads were so big, really only one and a bit load at a time. And so the mother and the father said, well, children, you're old enough now. We can leave you for, well, the day there and the day back, so for 2 days, while we transport half of the meat back to the village. And we don't want to let anything go to waste, so we're going to give it to some of the elders and knowledge keepers and people who might not have abundance this year. And so it will help our whole village. And so the kids kissed their parents, and their mother told the same story that she told every year. And she said, my children, don't go out during the day when the sun is at its highest. Make sure that you're back in the teepee, because as your shadows disappear, well, grandfather's son gets lonely, and he might take you for his own. And they just laughed, and they thought that was just their mom's way of saying, get home in time for lunch. And so they didn't think much of it. And then she said, but at night, when Grandmother Moon is at the highest and our shadows start to disappear, well, she gets lonely too, and she might take you for her own. And the children just laughed and they said, no, that's just Mom's way of saying get to bed on time. And so they didn't think much of it. And so they hugged and kissed their parents and they waved goodbye as they watched their parents and that first wagon full of all of the game, all of the meat, go back to the village. And so the kids would run around and they were running further and further and further out. They were having so much fun. And it was the end of the day. They had had just an exhausting day. And so the boys and their sister went to sleep. The next morning, they woke up and they were excited to explore even further than they had the day before. And so they ate wonderful pemmican, which is when you take meat and berries and smush them together. They're super tasty. And after they had that burst of breakfast and energy, they went exploring. And they were exploring further and further and further out than they had ever explored before. And then they realized that the sun was getting higher and higher and higher in the sky. And so they started to run back to camp. They ran faster and faster and faster. And then they dove in the teepee right as Grandfather's sun rose to his highest point. And then they laughed and they laughed and they said, as if Grandfather's son would take us for his own. I mean, how would that even happen? And so they laughed. They enjoyed their lunch and they continued exploring. As they explored further and further, they tried all new places to play hide and seek. But of course, the boys had done this quite a few times with their sisters, so always knew some of her favorite spots. They were admiring all of the new wildlife, and the boys were climbing trees, trying to get a better look at some of the funny birds, and the daughter was just smelling all of the incredible flowers and just observing the world with her big, bright, golden eyes. And the boys, who had run themselves ragged, were exhausted. So together they all made their way back to camp. They had some supper, and then they went into the teepee. And the boys fell fast asleep because, like I said, they'd run themselves ragged all day. But the girl, she was curious. She was curious as to what the night looked like and what kind of animals or flowers or sounds happened at night. And so she left the teepee, and as she did, she was greeted by the most big, beautiful, bright moon she had ever seen. Grandmother Moon was full in all her glory, and she was shining very brightly down on the earth. She almost looked like you could touch her, you could reach her because she was so close. And her light was so bright, it almost looked like the first snowfall when it's just dark but still so light and bright. And so she wandered further and further and further around, and she was just amazed at how everything looked so different in this beautiful light. She listened to the sounds, and they were different. She saw the animals, and they were different. She even saw bats flying. Not birds, but bats, and she thought that was amazing. And as she wandered further and further and further away from camp, she came into an unclearing. And in this clearing, well, in the corner, she saw these beautiful flowers, flowers that she had never seen before. They were wrapped, and they were big and beautiful, and they looked just like the moon and the color of the moon. They only bloomed at night. This is probably why she had never seen them before. And they seemed to curl and run up this other funny plant that was completely closed. And as she got closer to smell them, oh, they smelled amazing. They smelled like all of her favorite smells, all in one flower. She continued to smell them and admire them. They reminded her of the way her favorite skirt swished back and forth. And she got so distracted admiring these beautiful plants that she didn't realize that Grandmother Moon was getting higher and higher and higher in the sky until she looked down and realized, oh no, my shadow's disappearing. And so she started running back to camp. She ran back faster and faster and faster until she couldn't feel her feet on the ground. All she could feel was the wind rushing past her face. It felt amazing. She put out her arms and she felt like she was flying, and wait a second. She was flying. She looked and Her arms, they had turned into big, beautiful wings. And the only thing recognizable were all of her freckles, and she looked down and, oh no, her whole body, she had turned into a bird. Grandmother Moon had taken her for her own. Oh no, Mother was telling the truth. She had to warn her brothers, and so she flew back to camp and she tried to open the teepee, but birds can't open teepees. And so she decided to wait and warn her brothers. So she sat up in the tree overlooking the camp and waited for her brothers to wake up. And she waited. And she waited. And she waited. And as the moon started to sink lower and the sun started to come higher and higher and higher on the horizon, her eyes got heavier and heavier and heavier until she fell fast asleep with the sunshine. And her brothers woke up and they noticed their sister's bed hadn't been slept in. I wonder where she was. So they left the teepee and they called, "Sister, where are you? Sister, where are you?" And they called back and forth, but they couldn't hear her. They couldn't see any footsteps. And so they grabbed some pemmican and they made their way around. They checked all of her favorite hiding spots. They checked all of her favorite places to smell flowers. They checked all of her places by the river that she loved to listen to that sound of the river flowing. And no matter where they went, they could not find her, no matter how hard they looked. They said, "We wonder where she is." They continued to wander further and further and further until they ended up in an unfamiliar clearing. They had never seen this clearing before. It was amazing. And on one side of the clearing, there was these big, beautiful flowers. They were tall and strong. Some of them had little vines wrapped around them. And the center of them was incredible. They were huge. They were big and round, some of them as big as their faces. And in the center, there was seeds. The boy started to pick out some of the dry seeds and eating them. The seeds were good, but the shells were kind of gross. So they started picking them open and started snacking on them because that's what they love to do. They love to snack on anything. And they didn't realize the way that those flowers were moving. They just thought, wow, the flowers are moving. That's incredible. Until they realized the flowers were pointing up higher and higher and higher, and they were following the sun. And then they looked down at their feet and they realized, oh no, our shadows are disappearing. We have to get back to camp. So they started running faster and faster and faster and faster until they couldn't hear their feet on the ground anymore. They just felt what sounded like wings beating. And one brother said, "Hey, do you hear that?" And wow! You're a bird! And the other brother said, "What are you talking about?" And looked at his brother and said, "Wow! You're a bird!" Grandfather's son had taken them for his own. They had become adorable little birds. Well, they had to warn their sister if they could even find her. So they flew back to camp and they tried to open the teepee, but little birds can't open teepees. And so they picked up the pemmican and then decided to wait for their sister in the tree overlooking the camp, beside this funny bird that they had never seen before, who was sleeping their day away. They didn't know of any birds that slept their day away. But they sat beside her and they waited. And they waited. And they waited. And they waited. And as the sun started to sink lower and lower and lower in the sky, their eyes got heavier and heavier and heavier until they fell fast asleep. As they fell fast asleep, their sister shook herself awake and said, "What time is it? Why isn't it daytime anymore?" She looked around and saw Grandmother Moon greeting her. She kind of smiled. And then, in the distance, she heard a clattering of wagons. She said, "Oh, our parents! Our parents are back!" And so she did what she could, and she flew over around her mother, and she said, "Mother, it's me! Mother, it's me!" But the only words that came out were, "Woo-hoo! Woo-hoo!" tell her it's me. So she tried again. Mother, it's me. Hoo-hoo. Hoo-hoo. Oh no, there has to be some way for me to get her attention. So she flew all around her mother. Her mother only felt a silent breeze on her face. She thought it was very refreshing and went into camp and said, "Children, we're back. Children, we're here. Children, where are you?" She opened the teepee and she looked inside, and, well, the boys' beds were always a mess, but her daughter's bed wasn't even slept in. She started to worry. Oh my goodness, what's happened to my children? And so she started to look all over, high, low, at all of her favorite spots, all of their favorite spots to go swimming, all of their favorite spots to explore, all of their favorite spots to hide, all of their favorite spots to play games. But no matter where the mother looked, she could not find her children anywhere. And she kept calling, "Children, where are you? Children, are you okay? Where are you?" And then she ended up in an unfamiliar clearing. And in the back of this clearing, there was these beautiful flowers. She walked closer to these flowers because she had never seen them, because they only bloom at night. And she smelled them, and oh, they reminded her of her daughter and all of her favorite smells. As she looked at them, they reminded her of her daughter and her favorite skirt swishing back and forth. She looked at them, and they looked like the beautiful color of the moon, who was full and standing strong over her. And then there was a funny bird that bounced right in front of her, which almost startled her. And as she looked down, the bird cried and pleaded, "Woo-hoo! Woo-hoo!" And the mother looked down again and realized this wasn't just a bird. She recognized those beautiful golden eyes. She recognized those beautiful freckles. And she knew this was her daughter. And she said, "Oh, my girl! Grandmother Moon has taken you for her own." Well, now you will always be there to keep Grandmother Moon company. She will never be lonely again and never need to take another child. And you and the moonflower will guide all of our children home on nights when we are lonely. And she wondered, where are your brothers, though? And so together they looked high and low, but could not find the brothers. It was getting very, very, very close to morning, and her daughter, the owl, was getting quite tired and said, "Hoo-hoo! Hoo-hoo!" And the mother agreed, "All right, let's go back to camp." And so together they went back to camp, and the owl flew up in the tree overlooking the camp and promptly fell fast asleep. Just as she fell asleep, those two funny little birds woke up, they shook their feathers off, and they saw their parents. And they said, "Mom, Dad, it's us! Mom, Dad, it's us!" But the only words that came out were, "Chickadee-dee-dee-dee-dee, cheeseburger." And so they tried again. "Mom, Dad, it's us! Chickadee-dee-dee-dee-dee, cheeseburger." Oh no! How were they supposed to let them know that it was them? And so those funny little birds, the boys, followed their parents no matter which way they went. And the mother and the father were looking high and low, trying to find their children. And the mother called out, "Children, where are you? Children, where are you?" And as she wandered further and further and further, she ended up in that same unfamiliar clearing. She didn't even know how she got here. And in the corner, she saw these big, beautiful flowers that were round and they followed the sun. She said, "Oh, the way that they are golden and yellow and orange and red. Oh, my boys would love those." And she watched as those funny little birds started eating and pecking the little seeds in the center. And she thought, "Oh, those little birds remind me so much of my boys, with the way that they love to eat and snack all the time, and the way that they have those funny little black caps and curious eyes and big smiles." And then those funny little birds jumped in front of their mother and called out, "Chickadee-dee-dee-dee-dee, she looked down, she realized those were her boys. She said, "Oh, my boys. Grandfather's son has taken you for his own. Well, now, Grandfather's son will never be lonely. You will keep him company throughout all of the days for time immemorial. And you and this beautiful sunflower will guide all of our children home so they will never be lost again." And so to this day, Grandmother Moon has never taken another child, and Grandfather's son hasn't taken another child, because the chickadee and the owl keep us safe and keep Grandmother Moon and Grandfather Sun company days and nights for time immemorial. And the sunflower and the moonflower will always guide us home. And that is the story of the chickadee and the owl and the sunflower and the moonflower. Great. And so I'm going to share with you the chickadee song. I'm going to do it as a call and response. I'll do the second part, the call and response part, a little quieter than the first part. And so if you're at home, you can sing along with me. Whee! And so the chickadee teaches us how to listen. And so perhaps if the children listened, they wouldn't have gotten into so much trouble. But also, if the parents would have listened and stuck together, they wouldn't have gotten themselves into so much trouble, and the earth wouldn't have taken something from them. And so this is the chickadee song, which teaches us how to listen. Hop-dee-oh, ho, ho, 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 hop-dee-oh, ho, ho. Way-ah-ho, 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 way-ah-ho. to share another song. So this song is called The Laughing Song, and I don't think I've shared it in a little while, but I think I tried to share it last week, and haha, it left me. And so, yeah, this song is from the Four Winds Singer, and they are Cree out of Edmonton. I think some of them are from Enoch. But it is just a fun song, and it teaches us not to take ourselves too seriously, because life is too short to be serious all the time. It also teaches us that it's okay to laugh at yourself. It's okay to make mistakes as long as you fix those mistakes. And so this song has really been instrumental for me remembering to giggle and laugh at myself when I go a little too seriously. I'm taking myself a little too serious. This song will start popping into my head. I'm like, all right, yeah, I enjoy laughing, so let's go for that. So this is the happy song or the laughing song. It teaches us to really appreciate everything in life and take everything in with gratitude, with thanks, and when we live with gratitude, we see how much abundance really does fill our lives. And so this is the laughing song. We also laugh because we always mess it up a little. Way high, oh, way high, yeah, oh, way ho, way ho, why, yeah, oh, way ho, way ho, way, way, oh, way, oh, way, oh, way high, oh, way high, yeah, oh, way ho, why, yeah, oh, way ho. Way ho, way ho, way ho, way ho, way ho, way high ho, way high, yeah ho, way ho, why yeah ho, way 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 high ho. Way high, yeah, oh, way ho, why, yeah, oh, way ho, way ho, way ho, way ho, way ho, way ho, way high, oh, way high, yeah, oh, way ho, why, yeah, oh, way ho, way ho, way ho, way ho, way ho, way ho, way high, oh, way high, yeah, oh, way ho, why, yeah, oh, way ho, way ho, way ho, way ho, way ho, way ho, way high, oh, way high, yeah, oh, way ho, So Wendeaho popped into my head, so I guess I'm going to share that. So Wendeaho is also known as the Cherokee Morning Song, and it really teaches us. I learned it as the Four Directions song, and that was many, many years ago. It's also on YouTube from Ulali and Robbie Robertson. Amazing, amazing, amazing groups. Robbie Robertson is phenomenal. He's laid the foundation for a lot of Indigenous artists. And same with Olali. They have these incredible harmonies that are just so haunting, and I just absolutely love them. All of them are incredible. And so, yeah, in it you can hear that four directions, the four winds carrying us where we need to be. It teaches us to really honor those footsteps and where they lead us, but also to acknowledge that balance within ourselves. You know, that balance of our mind, our heart, our physical body, and then our spirit feels the whole thing, because we can't be whole without every piece of that. And so when it comes to asking for healing or asking for direction, you have to ask for all of those things, all four of those things, to be directed to be a whole being. And so, yeah, this is Wendeaho. So many songs popping in my head. It's been a while. So I think because I had bronchitis and I haven't been singing the way that I usually sing every single day, my body is just like, you gotta sing again, you gotta sing more. It's not 100% my voice, but I'm getting there, slowly but surely. And I wanted to sing the Thunderbird song. And so the Thunderbird is really about it's finding direction. It's fate or destiny. It's that thing that pushes us forward. It teaches us that everything happens for a reason. And sometimes you might not know that reason right away. It might be a little overwhelming. You might be like, oh, why did this happen to me? But then, you know, a few years later, you're like, oh, that's exactly why it happened to me. And yes, it sucked to get hit by a truck, for example, but it put me on the path that I needed to be on. And so I'm so thankful and humbled to be here, to be where I am. And yeah, everything does happen for a reason. It also teaches us you can't go back in time. And so just really to learn from those things that happen, because if you don't learn from them and you don't listen to the Thunderbird, the things are going to keep happening over and over and over again. You're going to get cut in those ruts, and the Thunderbird eventually will just get fed up with you and kick you in the butt and put you on the right path. And so that's really what this song honors. It teaches us, you know, it's okay to move forward. It's okay to move on. It's okay to step into your true and genuine self and your path. And if your road is really hard, chances are you're maybe not on the right path, and maybe you just need to shift directions a little bit. The Thunderbird doesn't make things hard for us unless we're on the wrong path. And then it'll smack us onto the right path eventually, after just giving us those little nudges harder and harder and harder until bam. So yeah, really honor those lessons that the Thunderbird gives us, but also honor the winds of the Thunderbird, honor those winds of change. and welcome change with open arms. And so, yeah, this is the Thunderbird song. Pardon me. And this song I learned from Sharon Turner, as well as Carrie Moore shared it, I believe. There's a few people that I learned it from, so I'm just really thankful to carry it in a different way. I'm going to sing a healing song. Not only for my own voice, my own chest, but there's so many people who are sick right now. I've been to a lot of schools where like over 10% of the kids are gone from certain, or half. There was a class today, half their kids were gone. And I'm like, I'm gonna mask up, I'm not gonna hug any kids. So, but it's crazy, and I hope all of them are well, and I hope people get better really, really quickly. And I know there's a shortage of medication, and that's really worrisome. But yeah, it's just really about healing in general and finding different paths to heal. It might not just be physical healing, it might be emotional healing, it might be mental healing, it might be spiritual healing, but it's really about finding that healing path and setting those intentions. So we do it with a heartbeat, because that's that prayer beat, that honor beat, it's that women's beat, that healing beat, and it's that heartbeat of Mother Earth that connects each and every one of us, because we all have that heartbeat. This is sung in rounds of 4 to honor those 4 directions, but the 3rd round we actually stop drumming, and in that round, in that silence, that's the healing round. That's where we pray for the things that we need, or set that intention for the things that we need. Send love and healing for people who may be suffering, people that you might know. Could be a pet. I've had people pray for their pets before. It could be people around the world, or just people in our own backyard, and ourselves. It's okay to pray for yourself. It's important to, because if you're not well, how are you going to help everybody else out? And so it's really about honoring all of those things and setting those intentions. And then when that drum beat comes back in, you just release those intentions, you release those prayers or wishes or whatever you want to call them to the universe to do the work that it needs to do. And so, yeah, this is the Cree healing song, or the crying song, or the wailing song. I learned it from my mushum, my great-grandfather. And Carrie Moore also shares it, and Olive Mandantopis also shared it before she passed. There's a lot of really beautiful elders that carried this song, or a variety, like a variation on this song. And it's really interesting to sit in a lodge, a Cree lodge, where I learned it, and then sit in a different lodge and hear the same song. I heard it at a Yuipi ceremony, which is a Lakota ceremony, and I was like, huh, I know this song. That's pretty cool. And it was slightly different in the wording, but it was still the same song. And so I think our healing songs are universal. So this is the healing song. It's also called the crying song, or the wailing song. And so if you feel the need to cry, let those tears come, because they are healing. Hey, 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 way high, way high, way high. way high, way high, way high, yo. Way high, way high, way high, yo. Way high, way high, yo. Ah hey, ah hey, ah hey, ah ho. Way high, way high, way high, yo. Way high, way high, way high, yo. Way high, way high, yo. Ah hey, ah hey, ah hey, ah ho. Way high, way high, way high, yo. Way high, way high, way high, yo. Way high, way high, yo. So I'm gonna share a thank you song that I wrote. So whenever I teach kids how to say thank you in my language, I always say hi hi, heart, a hand to heart, magwitch, from my heart to yours, and merci. So hi hi is Cree for thank you. Magwitch is Anishinaabe for thank you, and then merci is Métis or Michif for thank you. And so it's important to learn those words. It's important to learn how to say thank you in many different languages. So those are the kind of key words that you need is please, thank you, I love you. That's a nice one. And where's the bathroom? That's a big one. So yeah, this is the thank you song that I'm working on. Hi, hi, magwitch, Marcy. Hi, 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 magwitch, Marcy. From me to you, and you to me, and you to me. Hi, hi, magwitch, Marcy. Hi, hi, magwitch, Marcy. Way ah hey yo, 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 way ah hey yo. So anyway, throat's just about to go. So I'm going to say that that was my gratitude song. So thank you for joining me today. And I really appreciate it. I hope everyone has a beautiful Métis week, rest of your week today, this week. And again, if you are interested in learning about Métis finger weaving, this is loom woven, but I will be changing finger weaving this weekend at Arts Commons. If you're interested, check out my website, cree8.ca, CREE, the number 8.ca, and I'll have a whole list of workshops coming up. I have a rattle workshop coming up, a drum workshop coming up, and also the Métis finger weaving. And I'm about this like right after I'm done this, I will be posting a ribbon skirt making workshop. I'm going to try and keep that really small and intimate because it's important to share. But which everyone. Hi, Marcy. Thank you so much for joining me this day. And I will see you next week. Have a beautiful